Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to today's show. How to explain your brilliant brain with a graphic, and more importantly, why do I think you need to? So for those of you who are new to the Live with Joanna show, welcome, welcome, welcome. To those folks who are regulars and returners, it's nice to see you again. Just a heads up for today's show, I'm going to be doing as many demonstrations of what I'm talking about as possible. So if you have a situation or an example or something that even remotely fits what I'm going to be talking about today, put your hand up, turn your camera on. I'm going to ask questions because I feel like in this particular show, more than anything else, that show rather than tell is going to be the win. So if you are interested in volunteering, either when I ask, put your hand up, or let, whoop, she's over there, Michelle know in the chat that you would like to go ahead and volunteer. And I know we had a couple of people who actually submitted information up front, so we appreciate that, and we'll be calling on you as well. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about the fact that when you are teaching people about yourself, we have all been brainwashed, taught, told, whatever, that things like words are the most important things. Like what it is that is written on your resume, what is all of the correct keywords on your LinkedIn profile, that pithy one statement to describe you is the most important thing that you can do. Are they important? Absolutely. I do think it is very important for people to have the right words to describe you. I spend all my time thinking about that. But do I think we are missing one of the most important things as human beings in teaching each other who we are and what we're all about? And I think it is visuals. And I'm going to start with my favorite example of the power visual. We have all heard and seen this amazing, it's not going to let me do what I want to do. Here we are. Oh, there we go. This amazing thing. I want to reintroduce you all to Cinderella's glass slipper. So why do I think this is important? Well, the glass slipper, in my opinion, in the Cinderella story, has a really important role. Now, I know many of you think that the glass slipper was just there because Cinderella tripped a little bit on the stairs on the way out, and the prince needed to find something. Well, yes, he did need to find something, but I think that the fairy godmother left it there on purpose, because part of why she did that on purpose and why I think that's really important is if you think about what happened at midnight in the Cinderella story is everything vanished with the exception of the shoes, which always makes me go like, why is that? Well, let's talk about what the job of the shoe was. First, Cinderella left the party early. She booked it out because she had to leave at midnight. And clearly there were a couple of thousand other people in the ballroom for the prince to choose from, but he didn't. Like, we don't hear the story about how the prince went back into the ballroom and went and danced with some other girl. No, he was all like, I like Cinderella and I have a reminder to help me remember why she is uniquely awesome, right? Second of all, when the prince woke up the next morning, he then had to go to his decision makers, aka his parents, and say, Mom, Dad, I found the perfect one. Tiny problem, don't know her name or where to find her, but I have a shoe. And apparently in fairy tale land, having teeny tiny feet is considered a value. And look how teeny tiny her feet are. Ta-da, this is the girl for me, right? He actually had to sell through the idea of Cinderella to his mom and his dad so that he could then galvanize the whoever it was he took out with him, army, which I think is a tiny bit creepy, but let's not go there, but galvanize all of the people around him to then go find Cinderella. And he used it. So I always joke that the glass slipper is the very first example of corporate swag out there, except it was for a human being. Now, I know you're all like, wait a second, why on earth are you talking about Cinderella in a conversation about graphics and explaining my brilliant brain? Well, because every single one of you is Cinderella in this story, and every single one of you has the potential to be the prince in this story. I mean, the truth is you also have the potential to be the fairy godmother, but that's a conversation for a different show on a different day. Because we are all working in what I call the option economy today, a place where every engagement starts with, do I see the potential for future shenanigans with the person I'm engaging with? And does the other person see the potential for future shenanigans with me? It's actually almost like an equation. If what you want to be wanted for is wanted by somebody else, then all sorts of magic, fabulous, wonderful things can happen. And I say this because you've all experienced this yourself already. If I asked you to think about your best friend for just a second and said, what is true about them? You choose them for exactly who they are, good stuff, bad stuff, strengths, weaknesses, all the things, because of the potential for future shenanigans. They also choose you. Roll into the workplace, same thing. I hope, and I know we have some people who are just entering the workplace on the call today, but I hope that every single one of you has had the opportunity to be on a team where you've gone, oh, we could make anything happen. And when you're in that environment, it's because you have chosen to be part of the team. You are excited, you understand your value, and you're excited to engage there, and they have chosen you. And yet, there are, I don't know how many billion people in the workplace today. So there's a lot of people for folks to choose from. And so I sit here and I go, why don't we all have our own version of a glass slipper so that we can all make it easy for us not only to be able to choose each other and decide, actually have agency in who we collaborate with, but also make it easy for other people to choose us, which is why, how do you make it easy to choose you? You play the role of Cinderella. How do you make it easy for somebody to choose you? You take the role of the prince. You get to be both. Who knew, right? You didn't know you were going to get to grow up and be the prince as well. So let me switch from my Cinderella narrative thing for just a second to real life, real world, all of the things. Who would like to be my first volunteer? Linda, I see a hand going up. We get you off mute. Thank you very much. Round of applause to Linda for putting your hand up. All right. Linda, who are we trying to teach and why? What's your sitch?
Oh, my situation. I'm leaving one job and I'm interviewing right now at 5 different companies, all of which have come to me, which is great. And I'm reframing my thought to be, I'm interviewing them, which is really empowering, by the way. And right, like, because, yeah, anyways, yeah. And so I guess I'm, you know, Joanna, I worked with you in May with one of the texting program you had, and I'm terrible. I know I'm not good at this, but this idea of trying to articulate why they should want me and what my magic superpowers are, I need to do that.
Well, so just so I can anchor a second, like, what is the role you're interviewing for?
They're all in business development or strategic alliances or some combination of those. And at like a director level.
Okay. And you know I'm going to need you to do it. You're in an awesome space. Why are you awesome? Brag for just a second. Why are you really good at that?
Oh,
okay.
I should have prepared. Okay. I am the kind of person who will call anybody that I've ever worked with, and every single person answers my call 20 years later because I'm an awesome relationship person. Like, people feel really connected to me for years and years at all levels of the organization. And I've been experiencing that this week, which is why it's fresh in my mind, because I'm calling all these people saying, hey, I'm talking to this guy about that, blah, blah, blah. And every single person calls me and wants to help. So,
okay.
So that's one thing I'm really good at. I'm not doing this in any order, okay? They might not
That's
be
okay.
order of importance. I think the other thing about my engagement style for collaboration is I'm super extroverted, friendly person, and really, really nice, but I'm tough. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm really nice, but everybody knows I'm going to get stuff done. Does that make?
Yep.
And people, I'm a really good sort of influential leader. Like I lead when I'm not, even when I don't have responsibility for the people.
Talk to me more about that one. Well, so here's my question. What do you, are those the three things that you want to teach people about you?
No.
What are the three things you want to teach people about you?
Yeah, I should have thought of that before I
That's
volunteered.
okay.
Okay, I think that I have lots, okay, I'm going to try and do this quickly. Experience, and so the experience and the skills, practical skills, like of the role, and then the personality to get things done. And I'm the other superpower I have is I'm very creative. Like I'm always throwing spaghetti at and that's what people come to me for is, okay, like this is the situation we're in. You know, what do you think? How can we handle this? It's like, even like trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to make money? What about this? What about that? You know, it's just, can we do this to promote these people? So, so it's relationships, experience, and creativity.
Okay.
And yeah.
So, all right. Only because, you know, I like to fly by the seat of my pants on this. And I know lots of people are listening and going like, how does this apply to me? Let me just remind everybody, if you have made it to the interview part of the process, you are already qualified. And I say that because if you are wasting time in your interview, justifying that you are qualified by talking about your experience, you are wasting opportunities to teach them about your potential, which is the thing that people are buying. They are buying your ability to solve problems in the future. Now, can you use examples of your past to articulate that? Yes, all day. But if you go in there saying, I want to make sure they understand I'm qualified, you've missed a massive opportunity. You are already, if they are taking time to meet with you. And by the way, yes, might they expect you to do the whole rigmarole about your background? You can say, and quote me on this, you could say, I'm assuming that because we're in the room, you have already looked at my background and understand that I am qualified to do the job. So what I'd like to show you now is how I think in the future and how I solve problems and how I could potentially solve problems for this organization. And I will use examples from my past as you are curious. Totally fine with doing that. How many of you, I've got some cameras on. How many of you guys on the call are hiring managers? Right. So like, you hire potential justified by past. And if they've made it in the room, you've got that. Okay. Here's what I drew for you as you were talking. Ooh, you can see that. It's just a Venn diagram with 3 circles. And I've got ask, brave, and flexibility. Now imagine for a second. So, and let me just unpack this a little bit because this is how you can talk through this, is you can go into the meeting, even on Zoom, and you'll notice that this does not have to be very pretty, but you can tell a story really quickly. How many of you have an opinion about Linda? And I realize we just had a little bit of an interview session, but how many of you would be like, wait, what is this? If she said, I want to start here with these 3 circles and the intersection of these 3 circles, because this is me. How many of you are like, I would want to know more? Everybody, right? Yeah. Again, when you are meeting somebody for the first time, being put on a team with them together and interviewing for a job, your job is to have them go, wait, what? Tell me more, because you have to find that balance between, while it's about you, it's not actually about you at all. It's actually about what do they need. So then you come back with your graphic and you say, look, I want to start here to help you understand who I am and what I'm all about. Because there are 3 things that I want you to learn about me. One is that when I ask, people answer. Over the years, I have built deep and rich relationships and do them really quickly, so that I am often able to find the right person to answer a question about something that we need to do. And if I don't know the right person, I know somebody who does. Second of all, I am brave in my approach, which means that I'm a bit fearless when it comes to calling up people that often people are nervous about calling, which you need in somebody who is going to be doing strategic partnerships and business development, but also incredibly empathetic in that process as well, while also being action oriented. That's why I call it the brave approach. And then last but not least, I'm also driven by flexibility, because in this new modern working world, any strategic partnership and business development opportunity needs to start with an idea around the possible, because we are building a new future. So I would love to go deeper on my ask strategy, my bravery strategy, or my flexibility strategy, and how I put together really strategic partnerships for the companies I work with. Which one would you like to start with first?
I love it.
Right? Yes, you recorded this. Like, this then becomes your, and this is for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you've now put, you, to your point at the beginning about wanting to interview them as much as you and them interviewing you.
Yeah.
You've now completely taken control of the narrative, because they're then going to say, well, they're going to say whatever is important to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, and I'm just going to give you a tip here. Like, if you're in one of those crazy panel interview days where you have to meet like 12 people or something crazy, you can then say, hey, Bob, in the last section, we spent a whole enormous amount of time talking about my ask and the fact that I build really deep, rich relationships. Maybe it would be useful for you to ask me about bravery or flexibility. Is this what you want to be wanted for?
I think it actually really nails it. Like, I need to get the 3 narratives, but it is.
Well, my guess is you've got examples for all 3.
Yeah, I absolutely.
Now,
and using the word flexibility to relate to the idea around the possible.
Yeah, I mean, I was making stuff up. Like, don't overthink the words.
Yeah.
Because remember the goal of this, because like before I even started talking, everyone was all like, I'm intrigued. The goal of this is to get people, because you're going, and I'm going to talk about the sales funnel with everybody for just a second. When you think about the sales funnel, and for those of you that haven't thought about sales funnels before, well, I challenge you to go read up on it, because it's really important. You are selling yourself, your future time, through the process. We have all been taught in the interview process to go from consideration set to close in one go. Like, it's like, I've interviewed and now are you going to buy me? Right. And the reality is there isn't a product on the planet that we make people do that for. So the first thing you want to do is say, okay, at the beginning, I want somebody to be intrigued and want to learn more, because we've all also been in those interviews where somebody just started asking questions and started telling stories, and those are where things get amazing. So then you can say, well, when the story question factor starts to happen, when they're intrigued, then you can start doing it. And then at the end, you start coming to close, but or maybe not even in the first interview. So, but you can see this then, and I will challenge you then, becomes really helpful, because you can then go, well, if I was in person, and I would do this for every single person, I'd be like, here you go. I don't need this, because this is me. You do. This is your glass slipper, folks. a really crappy piece of paper with hand-drawn circles on it. Because here's the other thing that you need to remember, especially about interviewing. It's not only do you want them to be able to recognize your potential, which is what this does, makes it easy, but you also want them to remember it. If you are one of 10 candidates being interviewed, you've now also given them, this is the glass slipper being, the prince taking the glass slipper to his parents. How do you make that easy? Okay. Linda, I hope you get one of the jobs.
Super grateful. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I will recommend, by the way, there's an old show where we talked about how do you choose between different opportunities.
Yeah.
Where there's actually a spreadsheet where we use math to make that much easier. When you hit lots of job opportunities, you can then use that to there. Okay, so moving on. So you've all seen a really great example of doing that with just in the interview process. I want you all to remember that visuals happen all day, every day. Like 90% of what we respond to are visual stimuli. Like there's, I think we've got it's less than a second for people to make decisions about who you are and what you're all about the visual. It also, visual elements are 60,000 times faster for people to go, oh, I get it. And you go from 10% memory to 65% memory when you have a visual. So this makes it 65% more likely that people are going to remember you, which I think is critically important. Now, even if you are not looking for a job, I want to remind you that you have visual elements out there all over the place telling the story about you. And I've actually put, these are two of my favorite people. I have lots of favorite people. Wendy and Christina are longtime fans of the Joanna world. And as you can see, they both just in their header tell a story about who they are and what they're all about. Now, Wendy's done your fairly traditional headshot, but wow, you're already getting a think automation first is telling you a story about who she is and what she's all about. Whereas you have Christina, who's got a microphone in her hand and is clearly at an event and then has the make change. Just the visuals themselves are telling quite the story about who you are and what you're all about. Same thing can happen with your video backgrounds. And I challenge you all, even though we are working in a virtual world, you have the ability to draw and make pictures in meetings. And actually, they don't need to be beautiful graphics. They don't need to be really polished visuals. So often, like, I think this is the one thing I miss about being in person is being able to grab a dry erase marker and go up on a whiteboard and like start drawing things. I'm a very visual teacher. You should see the piles of paper I have beside my desk. Have piles of paper so you can go, is this what we're talking about? And use visuals to draw with people. I am constantly doing that with people, grabbing my phone, taking a picture and texting it to them. Visuals make it infinitely easier for not only people to recognize and understand what it is you're thinking and how you're thinking, but it also makes it more memorable. It also then makes it more shareable. You do not have to be an artist. I am about as artistic as a doorknob. You do not have to be an artist. Everybody, I hope, made it through kindergarten and can draw a circle. So start being aware of all of the visuals around you because they're all telling a story. And my question for you is it the story that you want to tell? Okay, now, I say you don't have to make it beautiful, but we are going to try and make it beautiful. We're going to do something really risky. Who would like to do demo number 2 with me? You haven't, I hope Linda hasn't scared you off. Michelle, do we have somebody?
We do have a couple volunteers.
Who do we have?
Andrea.
Andrea, hi. And I think, let's have you unmute.
Yeah,
You are, do I remember correctly that you are straight out of college and trying to explain to people why you're awesome when you have no experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just
Okay.
fine. Okay, we are going to do something really risky because
Okay.
we're going to go into my, I don't want this to happen. Here, we'll do this way. We're going to go into my, I am a big fan, by the way, folks, of beautiful.ai for making decks. It's way prettier than, and easier to use than PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up there for right. Well, I'm going to leave it ready to go. Okay, so tell me, what is it you want to do? Like, what's your dream job?
My dream job is getting into private equity and maybe hopefully becoming a partner someday. But the thing is, I have just got into finance and my interest came in my first year of my master's and I've recently graduated. So I have no much work experience, just 1 year of internship in finance. And I've got a background of engineering and I did my master's in management. So you can see I have got a background in tech, I've got a background in finance, I've got a background in business. So I would like to use this as a 3-in-1 because usually if you see people in finance, they are just finance people. So I would like to showcase that I am a 3-in-1 person and showcase that this is a good plus point when it comes to having a managerial position in the future. So I'm searching for jobs and with lower.
I'm going to stop you now because I think I have enough. So here's, I think my first piece of advice to you is like goal number 1 is to get a job, right?
Yes.
And absolutely, I love that you are excited about the potential of the future and to head into management and all of that good sort of stuff. But if you try to I mean, you should absolutely recognize each opportunity and think about their potential for management in the future and choose from your end. But when you are teaching other people, if you start to do this and 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 this, people stop listening, right?
Okay.
You stop listening after about the second or third this, which is why I wouldn't let Linda talk more than 3 things.
Okay.
Because if you can get them to understand and recognize 3 things, then you can start talking about the other things. Okay. Right. And, you know, would I say maybe in the interview, when they say, like, do you have any questions? I would say, you know, can you talk to me about the opportunity and potential for internal development and growth?
Okay.
Because I have aspirations to become eventually a partner, something like that you can totally do. Okay. You have a very clear, because I agree with you, you have a very clear, why are you uniquely awesome? Because you do bring 3 very different backgrounds together. And, oh, which one do I want to do? I want to do a hub and spoke. You could very easily, I'm going to put your name up here. You could very easily come in here and say, oh, engineering. Is it engineering as in traditional or is it code?
No, it's electronics and telecommunication. Yeah, I guess you can put the mobile.
Yeah, let's do that one. Oh, okay. Well, we'll leave that there. So then we've got finance. Let's put a bank in there. We're not going to do a 3rd one. And then we're going to do business. I'm going to pop that. Okay. So do you guys see how quickly, let's fix this one because now it's bothering me. Just using little silly icons. There we go. That's a better one. Little silly icons. We've really made the story of Andrea really much, much simpler. Here's what you can do. Your photo here. So normally, let's see. I'd actually go in and put in a graphic here. But you can then say, Would help if I could type. Okay. So imagine popping your picture in here, and this is where you can then use technology to make this really easy and simple. So now imagine you're on a call with somebody, and again, or you could actually have some pithy. You could type something in there. We'll figure it out. But you could actually share this slide directly with the audience on your interview. Just ask somebody for the ability to share and just pop that up there. Now, having it, obviously, you're not going to want to build it on the fly like I just did. Exactly. But you can see I said practically nothing, but just having those graphics with the icons makes it much, much easier for people to recognize and remember the unique elements of you. And, you know, I'll say this, like, you do have a unique combination of skills. So making sure that they understand, like giving those three opportunities. I think the story for you is less about examples of each individual element, but what are the stories that you can tell about how you solve problems that actually tap into all three. Okay. So if I was answering questions, I would say, so here, you know, what's unique about me is I bring these three different disciplines together in one person. And I'd love to give you examples of how I have solved problems in the past, both as a student and as an intern, where I have brought all the three characters to life. And it's actually having all three that has made it really innovative thinking. And I have no doubt you have a couple of stories that you can tell about your past that give those three examples. And so you then, instead of being known for the intersection, which is what Linda was known for, you're then known for bringing all three things to the table. Okay. Awesome. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. It's, again, I'm going to keep saying with graphics, it's about making it easy for them to recognize and remember who you are and what you are all about, because those are the two things. And I'll tell you, from my world, I always look at, will it surprise and delight? Will they go, oh, this is different? Am I making it easy for them? So am I literally giving them the glass slipper? I will also say, is it making it easy for us too? So am I, and in both of these examples, am I not overselling the product that I am? Am I actually being really clear about, this is who I am and I want you to choose me? Because remember, in the option economy, the clearer you are about who you are and what value you want to add to an organization, the easier it is for people to choose you for that. And when somebody chooses you for who you are and what you're all about, then this whole, you need to be authentic, the confidence goes up, authenticity becomes a kind of a normal thing, confidence goes up, your ability to make really smart decisions about the future goes up because fear has gone down. Like, all of the good things happen when you are making it easy for people to choose you. Okay, which now makes me want to, flip this around for just a second, because I'm curious to see if you would, where's my other, yeah, I'm going to do a demo. I need you to help me for just a second. We're going to turn the tables a little bit. I would like you all either to open up another browser window, or you can actually scan the QR code here on your phone. Because while I have been trying to be generous and help you guys learn some things, you, because we only have 2 more shows this year, have the opportunity to help us figure out how we want to teach people in the future. So we are currently in build mode for 2022 and 2023 and beyond on how do we help people figure out how to teach people about the future them, how to navigate their careers more confidently, how to show up as a leader better, and all of these sorts of things. And so we are rethinking, which is why we only have 2 live shows left in this year. We are rethinking how we deliver information. And so we would love to know what kind of an environment you would like us to create for folks in the future, assuming you would participate, and like, what would you want in this environment? So you can see if you go in there that you can pick more than one option, because we'll be using your feedback and your thoughts to help us to figure out what to create, how to create opportunities, and create more spaces for people to learn about the future them. Always interesting on the results. More live events. Oh, they're a lot of work, folks. But I hear you. Okay. Feel free to continue to answer that question if you haven't already. Oh, a place to practice. I like that idea too. Awesome, awesome. My second question is where? Now, and you know what? I didn't give the third option of still doing this as part of a live show, but is Facebook still where everybody wants to be? Or do you want a private members only environment on a different, it would require a different application? Or do you like the idea of getting texts around this information? Sounds like the private members only. The rest of you are anti-Facebook too. I'm a bit done. Although I have to say, talking of visual elements, I'm a big, big, big fan of Oculus. Sure do love playing. I'm a big fan of Supernatural specifically because I get to whack things. It's my cathartic thing. Last but not least, especially for those of you who are longtime watchers of the Joanna Future You environment, if you have any other ideas or suggestions, we're going to leave this poll open behind the scenes. Feel free to just pop your ideas in here because we are all ears on how we can do better for both our community and for all the people involved in the Future You programming in 2022 and beyond. We have lots happening. We want more to do. Okay, so we've had a lot of conversations just now about interviewing and trying to get jobs and all of this good sort of stuff. And here's the other thing that I think we miss as such an opportunity in the working world is if you think about the team dynamic and the team environment, when you think about the great teams you've been on, it's because you've in essence auditioned and been chosen for a team. Like, I have no doubt, and I know I have certainly done this. I've been put on a team where I was all like, I don't understand why I'm on this team with these people. I don't get it. I don't understand what we're doing. And it's generally been a bit of a disaster, right? When I've been on a team where I'm like, oh my God, that person's so brilliant and awesome, and I'm really excited to hang out with them. And oh my God, that other person is so brilliant and awesome, and I'm excited to hang out with them too. That's when the magic has happened. And like, well, for those of you, I show up with pink and my sparkles and stuff. One would probably assume that engineers, as an example, run for the hills when they see me. I'll tell you now that my favorite projects of when I've been partnered with the super introverted, super nerdy, super linear thinker, super brilliant, super smart, super awesome engineer. Because inevitably what has happened is I have recognized them for their value and found an opportunity to collaborate, and they have been open to recognizing mine. And together, 1 on 1 doesn't equal 2, 1 plus 1 equals like 50. And if you think about how we build teams, having that dynamic and helping people understand who you are and what you're all about, the way you are, is one of the most powerful things you can do, because it is infinitely easier to recognize potential when it looks and sounds like you. So if you want to be on the super teams, help make it easy for the people who don't look and sound like you to recognize and remember your potential too. This is not just a boss-employee dynamic. This is a human-to-human dynamic and can make a fantastic difference. The other place there, and I do want to do my last demonstration here, is around leadership. I also think as leaders, we do a terrible job of trying to help our employees understand how to work with us. How you think, how you operate, who you are, and what you're all about is why people follow you. And yet we don't talk about who we are and what we're all about and make it easy for the people who are working with us to understand how we think. And every single one of you has a decision-making, thinking framework that works for you. So I'm now going to reach out to, well, so I know we didn't ask this, like, is there somebody in the volunteer list? Can you ping Michelle, who is a people leader, who would like help doing a visual description of who you are as a leader? I see Trish's hand just went up. Awesome. Trish, let's take you off mute. All right. What is it as a leader of people that you want to teach people about you? And if you answer the question that I'm a really nice person and I like developing people, I will hang up. I will kick you off this call because you know better. And for those of you that don't know why I just shouted at Trish, is she's been on this call before and she knows that the generic answers are boring and I will not allow that for her. So now I've shouted at you. Go. Oh, we can't hear you, Trish. Got to unmute.
There I am.
There we go.
Okay. All right. I went through this a little while ago and I wanted my team to be very forthright in how I manage them from their perspective, because how I think I manage them and how they think I manage them sometimes aligned and sometimes didn't. And truth be told, I am not a people person. I'd rather be out with the cats and the dogs and the horses.
Okay.
So, but what they told me was that I work hard to understand what they need as a person to be motivated. Some of them needed to be motivated by competition. Some of them needed to be motivated by, good feelings for themselves. Some of them needed to be motivated by money. All of them had different ways of being motivated. All of them had different ways that they like to be communicated to, not methods, but one person, and I'm this type of person, walk in my door, tell me what you need, and we'll chit chat later. Another person was, I got to chit chat first, get all this other stuff out of the way, and then I'm going to tell you what my problem is and a couple of my solutions.
Okay.
So it was learning how we both needed to communicate with one another to be effective. The other thing that they liked about me was that they called me the Dragon Slayer, because there's not a problem that I won't go out and try to fix. There's not a group of people that I won't go and talk to. There's not an executive or a customer or a supplier that I won't go out and work with to try to create a solution. May not be my favorite solution, but it will be a solution.
Okay.
And the third thing that my people said is that I will champion them to my detriment, so that I need to learn how not to do that to my detriment.
Okay. I think that's the same as a Dragon Slayer to a certain extent. It's the same as the first two. I don't think it's unique in itself. That's lovely. What is it? So now let's imagine you have a new team of people. You're new on the job. So understand this leadership, what you were saying. I understand the first two. Are those the things that you would want somebody to learn about you immediately as a leader?
Is that I will work with them on their way of working as much as it works with my way of working. I know that's a long way of saying it.
No, I know. What do you mean by your way of working?
In other words, if somebody needs to be artistic, I'll let them be artistic, even if it's a place that we're not artistic.
Okay.
If somebody's nuts and bolts, then I have no problem with them being nuts and bolts.
But that's talking about them. What about you?
I'm a teacher, so I've taught all sorts of different people and children. So to me, if I'm getting the message across and you're getting it, I'm successful.
Okay. I would love to see you think about the answer to that question more, because
Yeah.
you've said that they get to be nuts and bolts, they get to be creative, they get to be, and you were really good at bucketing other people.
You're right, I do.
Yeah, I don't think teacher is who you want to tell. I mean, you are, but I don't think that's what you really want them to consider you as.
No,
I challenge
because I use getting them where they need to be. I use listening to my customers and figuring out ways to wow them and exceed their expectations. And that's how we go and smash quota. Because I'm known for smashing quota.
I know. Okay. I know.
Those are the two ways that we get to it. That's my secret sauce
Okay.
to get to smashing quota.
Okay. Last question. And this is new ideas here. Let me caveat this by saying that every good leader actually, to your point, shifts who they are and what they're all about for the person sitting in front of them. Because
I would say that to a lot of
it's not about you. That said, we have there are some patterns. And I think that when it comes to leadership styles, there are three really key ones that stand out. They are the investor leader, the patron leader, and the coach leader. Let me explain to everybody who these three people are. So the investor leader is usually fairly senior and hires somebody because they're like, you are an expert at what it is you do. I may or may not understand what the heck you do for a living, but I trust that you do. And I hired you because I trust you for that, which basically means that I will let you get on with what you do. And I only need you to come to me if there's some nonsense that you need me to clear an obstacle for. But basically, I'm going to be off doing other things. Bye. The good news of an investor leader is if you like to do things all by yourself, they will let you alone and let you do all your stuff, and they will trust you to do so. The bad news is they will leave you alone and never talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. So if you need validation on a regular basis, investor leader, not so much. The second one is the patron leader. And a patron leader also goes, oh, I think, well, all of them say, I think you're awesome. But the patron leader sees something in you that you might not see for yourself, and often will give you a stretch opportunity or some sort of goal that they are not often telling you that they are doing, because they want to actually give you an opportunity to step outside of your lane, outside of your box, and see if you rise to the occasion. The good news there is if you rise to the occasion and you recognize the opportunity for what it is, you take the brave step and you do the thing, even if you don't do it very well, they will be all like, brave person who totally went for it. And they will continue to send you lots of fun and slightly scary opportunities. The bad news about the patron boss is once you have done it, if you do not rise to the occasion and do not go for it, they will not believe that you are actually hungry for what it is you want to do and will no longer give you opportunities. They will absolutely let you continue to be a little worker bee. They will not give you the big, sexy projects. Last but not least is the coach boss. And the coach boss is probably the most empathetic of them all. Doesn't necessarily need to be an expert in what it is you do, but they lock arms with you and say, I'm along for the ride with you, and I'm going to show you what you could do and where you could go. And here's how I would think of it. And they are a partner as opposed to a gifter of opportunities, which the other two are. The good news about a coach boss is that they are in the trenches with you, and they will celebrate the successes and they will cry at the moments when it doesn't work. The bad news about a coach boss is they often think that their way is right and or might micromanage you. I have no doubt you can all think of bosses that you have that fit in one of those categories. I know I do. FYI, I tend to be more of a patron boss, Martha, than anything else. I think Michelle could probably agree with you there. I'm constantly shoving her and the rest of the team at the Amplify Lab in the deep end, and I have to check myself because it's not always the same thing. But if I was going to say which of those three, Trish, you are?
I'm a patron, because all of my people that I've been around that have been around me for a while, I've helped them develop and get into new jobs. They've been promoted either within my team or outside my team.
Yeah. So all three of them do that. It's the how you do that. Do you leave them alone? Do you help them see their potential, or do you actually lock arms with them? I don't need
give
an
them
answer.
goal-
Huh?
Yeah, but I do give them goals. I will help them. I'll give them direction.
That
but
sounds like a coach, not a patron.
But I make sure that everybody's got stretch goals and they're working to achieve
Sure,
them.
stretch goals, absolutely a coach boss should do. A patron is actually the person who says, I know you used to do this job. I'm going to have you do something
Okay, I see what you're
different
saying.
outside. So I'd actually put you as a coach.
Yeah, so I
boss
need to
there.
work more and becoming more of a patron.
Well, if that's what you want.
Yeah,
But I sit here and go, all of this is not about you. It's about your team.
right.
So now imagine, here's your graphic, that you sat down with your team and said, look, there are 3 things that you should know about me as your fearless leader. 1, I believe in bespoke leadership. And what that means is that you get to be you, everybody gets to be everybody, and I will flex to what you need. So if you need to be creative, you need to be all of the stuff that you just said. That's what bespoke leadership says. But meet me where I am, because I am a woman of big ambition. And big ambition is wowing the customer, is da, 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 da. And I do both of these as what I call a coach leader, because I am in the trenches with you. I am helping you set up your goals, and I am here to help you succeed. And so when you work with me, this is the person that you get.
I like that. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Imagine for a second, like, well, I absolutely know I have never had a boss that has done this with me. I only wish they had. I had to figure it out the hard way, often in a way. But imagine for a second whether you are, you have a new member joining your team, or you're actually applying for a job. This is also another way when you are moving into a leadership role, you have value as a thinker and you have value as a leader. And so who are these 3 people? Again, this makes it really easy for people to understand. You could do that. I put it down in words. You could do that with icons.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down as I was talking to you, what is your professional motivation language? A bit like that love language narrative. I think there's a thread that you could pull there if that's what you're known for. I will also say to everybody, what I loved about what Trisha just shared with us is, because she has listened to me shout at people a lot, while this is all about you, it is not about you. And the whole every decision made about you and your opportunities is made in a room that you're not in. There are 2 questions. 1, are you part of the consideration set? And when you are the boss, you are part of the consideration set. And 2, what are they saying? Your team, your colleagues, your managers, your customers are buying your future time. And the most important question you can ask from anybody, like if you've got anything you want to take out of this show today, is go ask the people who are already buying you why they are buying you, because that insight will help you understand what it is, like, what do they actually value? And so for any of you, if you're all like, I don't know what I'm good at, I don't know, because it's really hard to recognize our own potential, go ask people. And if you need to know what to say, here's the Joanna script for it. You can say, I went to this event the other day where the host, this woman who calls herself an ambition guide, said, go ask people why they buy your future time. And so I'm curious, when you think about my value in the future, why do you think it is awesome? How would you describe it to somebody else? Slightly nuanced question. And then last but not least, how are you ambitious for me? First question gives you where do they actually see your value? Second question gives you how are they talking about you in a room that you are not in? And third question will help you give you perspective into where others see your potential. So if you are stuck in any way, those answers will give you information. I will warn you, people get slightly surprised by these questions. And so give them a moment to think about it. Do it in person, not over email, because it's a human to human conversation. Okay, before I let you go, I'm going to let you off with my final thoughts. As you are thinking about what it is you want to teach people about the future you, especially with graphics, my first question for you is, what is it you want next? Cinderella knew that she wanted to go to a ball. The whole dancing with the prince, getting married, all of that sort of stuff was kind of out of the fact. When she met with the fairy godmother, she was clear about a ball. If she had wanted to go to a basketball game, she would have had a different outfit. Second thing, who is it she needed to teach? Or who is it you need to teach? Being clear about who in an audience, who is your audience and what is it you want them to remember is the critical question, and start thinking about that before you start teaching them. Third, what is it you want them to remember? I am hoping Cinderella's goal was not to have the prince just remember that she was pretty. It's a bit vacuous, but that she was an awesome human being. So have a little bit of intent there, because that is the last piece, and graphics can do an amazing, amazing job to make it easy for them to take your glass slipper and teach others why you are uniquely awesome. So I hope today's show was helpful for you. Big thank you to Andrea and Trisha and Linda for being amazing volunteers in all of this. And thank you all for your feedback earlier. Please feel free to reach out to us at hello@the-Amplify Lab. If you have any other suggestions or questions, Michelle's going to be adding, and I see what are the 3 questions, we'll add them into the follow-up email from this show. We will, of course, be posting this on YouTube. So if you're watching or haven't been watching on YouTube, please go there and sign and subscribe. Heads up to everybody, especially those folks who were like, wait a second, how did I just find out about Joanna? And now she's stopping doing the live shows for a while. Michelle is diligently working behind the scenes to put little 10-minute videos together to put on YouTube. We are going to be starting to launch those in the new year. So that is coming soon. If you haven't already subscribed to the newsletter, would love to see you there. I'm also on both Twitter and LinkedIn at Joanna Bloor, and feel free to reach out to us there. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon, and I look forward to meeting the future you.